So The Batman is a new film from this year based on one of the most popular superheroes. Also, yet it's another reboot of the character. It's directed by the brilliant Matt Reeves and written by Peter Craig. It stars Robert Pattinson as the main lead along with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. And Paul Dano plays our brilliant villain, the Riddler. Want to know another film Paul Dano was in? The Girl Next Door, a 2014 movie, which is what I'll be really covering today on the channel. The film is directed by Luke Greenfield, was written by Stuart Blumberg, David T. Wagner, Brent Goldberg, Chris McKenna and Greenfield himself. It was produced by Harry Geitz, Charles Gordon and Mark Sternberg. Jamie Anderson was the cinematographer, Mark Lewinsky edited it, and Paul Haslinger composed. The film stars a high school senior Matthew Kidman after being accepted to university. However, he can't afford the tuition. He also raised $25,000 to get a gifted Cambodian student to study in the US, but overall doesn't feel like anything was truly rememberable happening in his high school life as it comes to an end. However, this changes when a beautiful girl, Danielle, moves next door, and well, he witnesses her getting undressed, which means she knocks on his door, but not to tell him off, but to get him to show around town. Oh, and to get him to undress publicly for revenge. Seems fair. The two then go on somewhat dates where they date each other to do some things, and then finally it comes to a point where they go to a high school party, where the cooler classmates try to steer away from Matthew, to him to react and kiss her publicly. However, the next day, Eli, one of his friends, informs him that Danielle used to have a career in the adult film industry. Being shocked, he takes his friend's bad advice and takes Danielle to a sleazy motel and acts very differently. It's solely when she realises that he has discovered her past, Danielle ends the relationship. After a few days, Matthew goes on to apologise to her, but she still feels she can't escape her past, so she returns to it. This then makes him track her down to a convention in Las Vegas where Kelly, a producer, and Danielle's ex threatens Matthew to stay away. However, he ignores this and convinces her to leave the industry and start all over. However, an angry Kelly abducts Matthew from his school, physically assaults him while explaining that Danielle quitting has cost him $30,000. He then offers Matthew to erase his debt by stealing the award Hugo Posh has. Essentially, this guy is successful off the idea Kelly once had. He gives Matthew's meds before going into the house and then proceeds to ring the cops on him, to the point where Matthew has to escape from Hugo and the police. He then manages to get to a dinner event where he has to give a speech to possibly give him a scholarship. However, it turns out the meds were actually a drug, and well, he does somehow pull off the speech, but ultimately uses the scholarship due to his behaviour. He also then realises that Kelly also posed as a student advisor and took the money he raised. He then is worried he'll be punished for fraud and expelled from his school, where he then turns to his girlfriend. She then calls two friends that she had from their industry, and then they make an agreement with Hugo to create a film that involves, well, Matthew's prom and classmates. After the eventful prom, Eli panically calls Matthew that the tape has been stolen, to then him finding out Kelly is waiting for him at home with the tape, along with his parents and principal. He privately threatens Matthew once again that he will give him half the profit or it's going to be shown to his elders. Matthew, however, again stands his ground, saying he doesn't care anymore, and Kelly does so. However, the tape is actually more of a sex ed tape, which his parents and principal are shocked but okay with. Kelly then admits defeat along with respecting Matthew. Both Matthew and Hugo make millions from the tapes, where the gifted student can still attend high school, Matthew can go to university and also live with his dream girl. Matthew's played by Emile Hirsch, Danielle is played by Alicia Cuthbert, Kelly's played by Timothy Olyphant, Hugo is played by James Remar, Eli is played by Chris Marquette, Paul Dano plays Clit, who is another best friend of Matthew and Eli's. Then Timothy Bottoms and Donna Bullock plays Matthew's parents. Originally one of the production companies who produced this film, Lurency offered Lee Greenfield to direct Freddy Got Fingered after one of the executives at the time found one of his short films. However, he denied and the director went on to direct The Animal instead. After a horrible experience, he was then offered by the company to direct another film, by then which was Girl Next Door. Overall, the production went well, with some worries from executives about its darker themes, but overall they just changed a few things here and there after some positive feedback from preview audiences. However, the studio went on to advertise the movie to the wrong audience. They advertised it to teenage girls instead of 18 to 30-year-old guys who would have been more interested in it since it more stars Matthew than anyone else. Overall, Greenfield blames nobody for this and said that the studio tried their best, but the film really had an out-of-box idea. He even said he had edited some of the trailers along with the best trailer editors he knows, but it just didn't work out. Reviews for the films were mixed, but more leaning to negative sides. It made $6 million in its opening, but placed 10th place. Audience were more kind to the opening when it opened up, but it did not affect anything since it still made around 2 to 3 million in its second weekend. But on the third weekend it only made around 1 million, and it then flopped out of theatres with around $14 million. However, that was just for the US, but still there was no hope for the film internationally. It made around $700,000 in Australia, 3.4 million in Spain, and then in the UK here it made 3 million. Overall the movie ended up with $30.4 million, but still was a disappointment to the company. In modern times, this film has 56% on Rotten Tomatoes from 159 reviews, and Metacritic gave it a 47 out of 100 based on 32 reviews, which isn't bad but isn't good per se. Even then, the film was nominated for 3 awards but ultimately won none. Honestly, onto my thoughts, I was expected to see a lot more of Paul Dano's character from the amount of videos the humour involving him, and even though he isn't in the movie a whole lot, I still got to see a sweet story of a girl trying to give a guy confidence. Then hers goes back down into a career she doesn't entirely want to be in, and well, at the end they get the happy ending. Even then, everything ties in well in this film, and it's shot/edited really great for this type of film as well for a coming of age. The film was hated on way too much, but I do see it has now got a cult following, so I'm somewhat happy for it. Honestly, I'd give the film a solid 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10. So yeah, another interesting film that I've looked into the channel, but honestly, this is a film I was really interested to see for a while because I'm a fan, become a fan of Paul Dano over the last few months. And yeah, I just watched it on the way back to my house for the summer holidays. And yeah, I was really shocked to see how a good film it was, to be honest. What are your thoughts on the film, guys? Please comment down below, and if you have any other extra facts about it, please also comment down below. I'd really love to hear it. Also consider liking the video if you did like it, and subscribing if you've seen some of my content around and have been enjoying it. Honestly, it's not the main goal. The main goal is to research into something I like or just interested in really, and then getting to edit a video about it. But still, I can't lie, as someone who's wanting to do a YouTube, it is kind of an extra perk. But yeah, I haven't got entirely a lot to say as I usually do at the end of these videos. And yeah, I'll just see you whatever I got to have in store for next time.
Dude, I know.